Hey everyone, this is Daryl Christopher coming at you from Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, and welcome to my video. This is going viral and establishing a social media presence, tips and tricks. This video is dedicated to my mother. She asked me about this and I said I would create this video to help her out. And basically what this video is about, and I'm sure if you put this into a search query, you'd find other videos talking about exactly the same thing, is basically for people that are a little older, the boomer generation, like my mother, who you've got email down pat, you know your way around the computer to surf and do other things, and you kind of know the basics of Facebook, but you want to get a little more out of it, and you feel kind of intimidated and shy about social media because you weren't an earlier adopter to it, and you want to get into it, but it's kind of tricky, so you ask your Generation X son or maybe that millennial in your family to help you out. And this is what I'm doing basically, is I putting this video together to kind of go over what you can do with social media, how to, you know, start it up, how to use it, how to get the most out of it, and how that relates, you know, maybe you have a small business, or like my mother, she does book reviews. So, you know, like you want to learn to get more out of the computer, and you know, like this is the thing about our generation, is that you know, like they have this joke basically that you know, what would you tell someone from the 1950s about the future technology? And you know, someone replied and said, what if I told you you can put the entirety of human knowledge in the palm of your hand, yet you use that to look at pictures of cats and argue with strangers? And you know, that's a real deep statement, but it's funny because it's true. You know, like and you know, like we have a really deep, intimate relation with machines and computers, in the respect that you know, people get so intimate with computers that with online porn, people have sex with their computers, and if your computer doesn't do what you want, you've probably seen that video by now of that office worker who has a meltdown and just starts ramming his computer keyboard against the monitor and really flips out. And you know, things get really intense with computers, and you know, it's a big deal in our lives. It's the one thing that we can say that, you know, if God created us, we are God to the machine and the computer world. So it's pretty amazing the changes in our society because of the internet. Like we probably didn't see how big it was going to get when, remember the time of, you know, the dial-up phone connection, when it would take 2 minutes to load a picture, and now everything is just, you know, it's fast, everything is easier to use, and it keeps on getting better and better. But you know, like, listen, I'm not going to make fun of you for not knowing. I'm not going to say that you use the term interweb, and as you may or may not know, that's the term that the tech savvy make as a joke for people that are not so tech savvy to call the internet. I know you don't do that. I'm not making fun of you for not knowing. It's okay. Like in life, like change is part of life, and we have to accept that. And you know, if you're always open to learning, then your mind is always going to stay young. And don't be scared of this stuff, because you know, like you think that just when you're going to get into it, everything is going to change on you and you're going to have to start over again. And you know, really that's not true anymore, especially with the major social media websites that have basically become embedded in the internet. So I'll try to guide you through it. I'm going to start off with talking about Facebook, because that's probably what you know. And then I'm going to talk about Twitter, and I'm going to talk about YouTube last. I think in the beginning, you should stick with the major ones to start out. Like, get to know these ones because they're probably going to be around. I mean, everyone is probably wanting to knock Facebook off, but it just hasn't been done yet. I mean, like, Google Plus tried, and you know, like, my basic activity with Google Plus is that anytime I post on YouTube, it gets automatically posted to Google Plus, but I never use it because you know, Facebook has just been unstoppable in terms of everyone being on it. Like, anyone is on Facebook. Like, your grandparents are on Facebook, your parents are on Facebook, your kids are on Facebook, and you know, that's a very powerful thing. And if you're not on Facebook and off the grid, like, the world pretty much doesn't know that you exist. So that's a huge power. And with social media, the trade is that they get your personal information, your consumer preferences, and that's profitable to them, and they make money off of that. But in return for that, you get the ability to access a global information and communication network. And that's the power of the internet. You probably, maybe growing up, thought you were the only one into something. And you know, with the internet, you'll be surprised by how many people have the same things that they like in common with you. And that someone somewhere, like, let's say you put a video up, someone somewhere is going to watch your video, and people are wanting to get to know you. So you know, like, this is a huge power in changing our society. So you know, like, I'll start off basically with talking about Facebook and getting a little more out of it. Now, there's two kind of approaches that you can take with Facebook, and then the one is like, you play the game where the goal is to get the highest number of friends. And you know, when that happens, if you get like over 1,000 friends, I mean, you've gotten to the level where you're known as a micro celebrity. And you know, that's got some advantages and disadvantages. Like, the advantage is that when you post something, you're going to probably get the largest number of people reading your posts. But the disadvantage is that these people are strangers. You don't know what their intentions are, and some people, you know, really get off on trolling and hurting other people's feelings. And I know you're at an age where you're established and you're okay with yourself, but you know, like, you might get hurt by some troll that's on your friend list, and they wait for a moment of weakness in what you say, and they go off on you, and it hurts your feelings. So that's really scary. And you know, like, it's part of what I didn't talk about earlier. It's part of society that, you know, you probably see how well you're doing in terms of how much money you have saved, invested, that kind of thing. And that's kind of like the big statistic to your generation. For the Generation X generation and the Millennial generation, and you know, we've grown up with computers to the point where, you know, like, our online cred and statistics is just as valuable in many ways to us as money. When you get a high number of views on your videos, and you know, like, for people that want to go viral and get millions of views on a video or something, that's like the mark of, you know, like, you know, success, basically, because you can make money and you're gonna get celebrity. And that's a big thing in an age of, you know, like, basically we've come to a time now where you know, like, it used to be like, for your generation, that anyone who sold out was looked at as a bad person. And you know, like, oh, but we're in an age now when everybody sells out. We all need to make money. There's a huge inequality between the people that have the money and the people that don't, and the people that don't really struggle. So you know, if you can make money off of your creative content or your small business online, and do so through social media, then you know, like, you might not make $1 million like you own lots of Google shares, or you know how to code. Like, I mean, my dad died in 2000, And I can only imagine how much money he could have made if he lived into the 21st century, knowing all the computer languages he did, and how how much money people get paid for doing coding. And he really would have made out. And I am okay when it comes to becoming a decent writer and creating content. And I just have to make the most of it, pretty much, because I missed out on buying shares in Google and then watching them go up to over $500. So this is the best I can do, and that's part of life. You go with what you got. So with Facebook, you can take that approach where you can go for the highest number of friends, try and get everyone to friend, be your friend, that kind of stuff. And like I've already talked about the strengths and the weaknesses. The other approach is you go with the the people that you know, the friends that you know, the family that you know. Don't I personally, aside from very few exceptions, only have friends on my friends list who I actually know and have a relationship with. And if you didn't know already, there's a feature on Facebook where you can allow people to follow you, or they can like your posts and read your posts, but they can't comment unless you allow them to. And I don't allow people to, but they can read what you're saying. And I am surprised by the number of followers that I've gained on Facebook, and I'm no one special. I mean, I'm just a regular guy, and maybe I write and say things, and I can get out there with what I say, but I'm not anyone special yet. I got a lot of people following me because either they like what I say, or they're interested in what I'm going to say next, or there's something about me or whatever. But that's the power of the internet. People find each other online in that way, and that's a really great feature for if you don't want to make that commitment to friendship, but you can still allow connection for people. So check it out in the Facebook features, in your preferences for the follow feature. And that's a really interesting way of connecting with people with not really doing all that much. So it's pretty interesting. So check it out. Another way of connecting with Facebook, I don't know if you've tried this already, is groups. If you really want to get your thoughts out there or talk to other people, I mean, if you're in a group about, like, say, American Idol or Survivor or the super popular stuff, there's a lot of people there. So let's say you put something in that relates to the group, even if the majority of people ignore it, there's going to be enough of even not that many people that are still going to look up your stuff. And that's a great way. Like, let's say you're a writer and you're putting out a book, and you go to the writers group, and there's tens of thousands of people on there, and you post about your stuff. Then with zero budget, you just got your stuff out there. And one way too is you could also get in the discussions. You probably saw this on Facebook before, where if you start typing someone's name in a reply comment, it gets highlighted, and then you can put that into the post. And what happens then is that when you make that happen, I use it all the time when I get into discussions with my friend, because I just have a habit of getting into using people's full names. And I know that when I make that highlight post of their name, they're getting a notification saying that they got tagged in a post. So it's like extra special. So sometimes I don't message people, or I'm busy with stuff, but I know that that's my way of people letting them know that I'm kind of thinking of them, and being kind of extra special with my my thinking of them, I guess you could say. And like with Facebook, like your friends are your friends, and people that are not, like, they come and go kind of thing, where people will unfriend you for all sorts of reasons. Like, don't take it personally. Sometimes it's just because they don't know you well enough, and they're pruning their Facebook friends list. Other times it's because, like, politics or sports, people get really heated about that stuff, and people don't want to be friends over that kind of thing. And if people don't want to be friends with you over that, then that's kind of like their loss. But if your friends are your friends and your family are your family, and they know the way you are, and they know that you can be controversial or out there or whatever, or weird, they know you well enough. If you're a good person, a good friend, and a good family member, then they know you're solid, and they're willing to put up with your eccentricities, like just as much as you put up with theirs. And like, we all support each other. We share in the good times, we share in the bad times. And speaking of that, like, it must seem at times like Facebook is very competitive when it comes to keeping up with the Joneses, and it always seems like everyone's posting only good news. And it's like, if you post something negative, it's like a ghost town. And like, that's one thing that like, yeah, you have to really keep it positive in terms of what you post. If you're having a bad day and you're depressed, you kind of really have to tailor it to the Facebook audience, where I'm having a bad day because of depression, but I'm gonna do, you have to say something like, I'm gonna do my best to fight it, and tomorrow I'm gonna do the best to make it a positive, happy day. That kind of stuff. Like, don't just say you are depressed. Just put a positive spin on it. Make it like you're always in the hunt, kind of thing. And post the positive news. Some people take different approaches to what they say. Some people are all about business on Facebook and only post things related to their business, never saying anything else, and that's an approach you can take. Or other people just will post happy things, like, have a good day everyone, every day, that kind of stuff. I'm thinking of my friends, that's cool too. Other people like me like to talk, and we can get really opinionated and controversial, and that like, depends on what your friends think of it. Where if you're gonna say something, you have to be careful in what you say. I mean, we do have freedom of speech. Thankfully, thanks to Donald Trump, like, the wrong that is political correctness is coming to an end, and people are speaking their minds rather than holding things in, and that's a good thing for society. But be careful in what you say. I mean, you probably have a good common sense, but a lot of people don't, and you have to be careful with what information you share with the online world and what you say. Now, things get really intense, and if like, you have to be very careful. Like, if you say, let's kill all the Muslims, that's hate speech. That's a criminal offense. If someone reports that, you could get charged by the police, and that's wrong. And like, not all people are bad people, so you shouldn't be saying that. But if you say, like, let's kill all the jihadists and defeat them, that's okay, because everybody doesn't like them. Like, even the Muslims don't like them. They like, they've just gone off the deep end, these guys. And the government is at war with them, so everything, that's perfectly cool. Or like, don't the biggest rule in life is, like, don't go against the government. Oh my God. Like, the government will go on the war path after you if you make, like, anti-government posts. I mean, who knows what sort of watch list you're going to get on if you do stuff like that, or whatever. Get along with the government, and the government will leave you alone. Like, pretty much the rule in life is, as long as you follow the law and don't go against the government, you can do what you want. And that's, I'm fine with that. So don't go against the government. Definitely don't post anything about criminal activity, like if you're smoking pot and you're putting pictures of your bong online. I don't think that's a good idea. I know some young people do it and it's okay, but maybe that might come back to haunt them sometime. Even if marijuana gets legalized, it kind of like doesn't look good. It's all about optics and image. And we live in a time now where everybody's a brand. I mean, everyone's a show. Everyone is pushing something, and you know, like basically we've all become like marketing masters in this you know, social media universe that's been created. Other things I would say to avoid is with politics, be very careful. You know, if you're right wing or conservative, like people really get their hate on for that. And I know things are changing now, but honestly, the way sometimes people get demonized over that political belief, like people think you're choosing evil or you're trying to revive like the Third Reich or call you Nazis and kind of stuff, like people really go off. So be careful in what you put. Like you know, like if you're going to be logical and argue things out, that's okay. Like, you know, it all really depends on what you're comfortable with, what you want to share and what you don't want to share. You know, like if every post you're making is immature, like you're saying, you know, everyone loves to hate our prime minister in Canada, and you're posting every time he does something like F you guy, your friends are gonna either stop being friends with you because you're being immature, or they're gonna tell you, like, I had a friend doing this, and basically, you know, my friends had to say, like, you know, make reasonable arguments rather than those kind of posts, or, you know, posting you know, like repeating like government propaganda in terms of political campaigning, and that's all you post. You know, do what you feel comfortable with. Go, you know, try the all business approach. Let's say you have a small business and you know you want to use Facebook to be professional. Nothing wrong with being all business. I mean, and you know, you can really get a lot of audience for really cheap prices. I mean, you can buy ads on Facebook where you're going to get to tens of thousands of people who are interested in your product for like 20 or 50 bucks. I mean, it's like super cheap for the amount of like impact you get with ads on Facebook. So, you know, like it all depends on what you're comfortable with, and definitely like if you're going on vacation somewhere, don't post that unless you have someone watching your house. I mean, people go online, and if they're on your friends list and they see that you're gone from your house, they'll try and break in your house. So be very careful with stuff. And I mean, also too, I don't think this will be a problem, but you know, like you know, like the internet is basically the playground of crazy people, because if you're not working and you're bored, or you got, you know, like got issues, you're gonna use the internet, and that's not always good. Especially like, let's say you're in a really dark place and you're depressed, you're gonna go online and say all that, and then people are gonna go off on you and try to make you commit suicide or something. And you know, for the young generation, that's very dangerous, because they take things very personally. So you got to be really careful with that, where you know, it does really have an impact. Like if, on, even though I'm jumping ahead a little bit here, like on YouTube, like I only allow comments that I approve. So I might read them first, but they're not being posted publicly, especially if someone's gonna post something awful about you. I mean, you don't want to see that. It's like what they've taught you probably when you were younger in the arts, you know, like try not to read reviews if you're in the arts, because they're going to say things to hurt your feelings. And, you know, like there's a lot of mean people in the world, and a lot of people that really hide behind the internet and are really, you know, weak people in real life, yet go off as the strongest and say the most awful things that are hurtful and cruel to people online. And you know, that's a reality that we have to deal with. When people think that they're strangers and have anonymity, they really go off on, in terms of, you know, like doing hurtful things. And you know, it's pretty sad, but that's just the way things are, and that's what we have to deal with. So yeah, I was talking about groups a little bit. I got a little bit off topic there, but basically, like you'd be surprised how many people you connect with you know, groups, and groups can go anywhere from just like, you know, a handful of people to you know, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands or even millions. So I'm personally, the biggest groups that I'm probably involved in is I really like the soap opera Days of Our Lives a lot, and they have like this super huge Facebook group that I'm on. I'm on a bunch of them actually. Like basically, what you can do with groups when you go into the search query, you know, you can type Days of Our Lives, Days of Our Lives fans, Days of Our Lives lovers. Let's say you're into science fiction. Try to really mix things up and be specific. You know, like that's what it's there for. You know, to try different stuff. You're not failing if you don't find what you're looking for right away. Just keep at it. Like, you know, like maybe start off with science fiction, and then type Canadian science fiction and see what comes up, or type in cat and then type in cat lover. I mean, man, the stuff that's popular on the internet, like that's where the people are. If you wanted to find out where the people are, like you type in cat lovers on the internet, or cat fan club, that kind of stuff, you're gonna find tons and tons of people posting pictures of their cats, videos of their cats, talking about their cats. I mean, you can talk about your cat and you're gonna get like hundreds of replies, hundreds of likes about your cat by people who like cats just like you. You'd be amazed by, you know, like the online reaction to things, that if something that people like, then they, you know, like they really go out of their way for their love for it. I mean, people sometimes spend the whole day online looking at pictures of cats. So yeah, it's like, it's pretty amazing, this this internet thing. Yeah. So another thing too with groups that's kind of a disadvantage of the big groups is they really have a lot of problems with bots. Now, what happens there is that it'll post a lot of, like, you know, generally it's porn, and people who don't know what's happening think, why are these people posting porn in the group and all this stuff? And basically what it is that it's like some sort of automatic post that if you click on it, you're going to get like malware on your computer. And, you know, it has, but people get really, really offended by that because they might be online and their kids might be with them and they're watching, you know, Facebook, and they think that it's a safe place. So there's other groups where you have to kind of look out. Like I'm on this group called Days of Our Lives Friend, and they don't allow anyone in unless they're like a real person on Facebook, where, you know, like they're involved with people, they have friends. I mean, there's a lot of fake accounts on Facebook that send you friend requests to kind of get into your information, but, you know, it's pretty obvious that their accounts are, you know, you can tell they're fake. I mean, like they'll have like, you know, 50, 100 friends, but they're not part of any group, and they don't have any personal information detailing who they are on their Facebook page. So don't, like, you know, approve those friend requests, because you know, it may well be a fake account trying to do something bad. So kind of be cautious of that. But, you know, like the one thing is that for the big groups, I've met like some pretty amazing people who were strangers who I've gotten to know because they were always making good posts online, and I was making good posts online. And, you know, you have to be very careful sometimes, because like sometimes in the Days of Our Lives group, oh my God, people will get in fights over the soap opera, and, you know, someone will troll and get into a fight, and then people start threads about the fight, and, you know, like it goes on, and I just post like, you know, like maybe a meme, as in that's like a picture with like a quick comment on it, that there's a message on the picture that gets, you're kind of trying to, you know, get people to see it and think about it, and either find it funny or something to think about. So, but I'll post stuff like that. I'll talk about the show, but I don't like, I'll say when something's good happening, but I keep it positive, and that's like a big thing. And so that's pretty much, I guess you could say, Facebook. It's got like Facebook is the heavy hitter. It is the one with the most features, and the greatest impact in terms of the number of people. Like it's intimidating to a lot of people because it's so complex. I mean, it's taken me, like, I've been with Facebook since only university graduates could join up with it. So that was like kind of like the second generation of Facebook. I mean, it first came out and like you had to be only a Harvard graduate of Facebook, and then it kind of moved into other universities and stuff like that. So it's taken a lot of time for people to learn about Facebook, and a lot of the younger people are not into Facebook. Like, they'll be on it for their parents or their friends, but they're not really using it all that much because it's just too much work. I mean, there's too much to do, too many features, that kind of stuff. So the younger people, they like more the Twitter and Snapchat and Instagram. Those are the ones because they're very simple to use. They're what you put into them is very succinct and a lot of brevity, and you can make like really strong connections really easily on those sites. And your parents, like if you're a kid and you don't want your parents to know what you're doing, but you're not doing anything wrong, mind you just don't want your parents involved, then you're going to use like a Snapchat or something like that, where it's just like your young friends kind of thing. So yeah, so two other points that I'm going to bring up for Facebook is, another thing too is liking stuff. Like, people are going to seek you out when they like the same stuff you like. So let's say you like a certain product, then go to the Facebook page and press like, and you can learn about them. And maybe there's like an obscure TV show you like, and you look it up in the search engine and you like it, then someone's gonna know when they're looking around, and people do that you like the same thing they like. So like pages, it's a little different than groups, because sometimes a like page just has like Wikipedia information about something, or other times it's a company and they're the only one making posts about their stuff. Another thing, I guess, in that, related to that, is the artist page and that kind of thing, where if you have, like, let's say you're making paintings or music or whatever, you can set up a page like that. Mine doesn't really do much, because basically most people that are on my friends list know that I post my stuff there, so they don't bother with the artist stuff. I have it around maybe for the future that people might get into it, but like, it hasn't really done much for me. And I will endeavor to make it better, but I'm really not trying to get like 1 million people on it. Like, I do art for the love. I went to school and been working hard to establish a career, and art for me is just what I do for the soul, not for the money, not for the profit, not to make a living out of it, but to do it for the soul. And you have the work week for your career, and I'm very passionate about the things that I'm working on in the career I'm establishing. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm fine with it. I made the mistake once of thinking that I could make a career in the arts, and it's luck and talent and basically winning the lottery, and it didn't come together for me at the time. Maybe it might later, but I'm not focused on that anymore, and I learned the hard way and I moved on, and that's that. So you have that feature as well. And you do know with groups that you can set up your own group, and generally the best way to start it, and you have lots of bells and whistles with the groups. You can have the public group where anyone and everyone can join the group, and you have the basically the secret group where only people that you know are in it and nobody knows what's in the group. And you have other options too. I can't remember the name of it right now. It just really escapes me and I apologize. But you can set it up where people will be aware of the group, but only you can approve, or people in the group, if you let them, can approve the person. I can't remember the preference for that one. But you know, like I say, you know, like talk to your kids, talk to the people in your family. I've given you a few tips in here, and you know, really try to learn a little more. I think, you know, you're going to be. I'm trying my best here to get you on the right path. So, you know, I'll do what I can. All you can do in life is your best. So hopefully I've helped you out a little bit. And you know, I've pretty much gone over everything with Facebook. So that's the big one. There are a lot of little sites that you might be interested in trying out, and always be open to trying the new ones that come out with a concept you like. They have, I only have 2 friends that are on it that I know of, but Pinterest seems to be a really big thing. I know that, you know, even though I only have 2 friends that I know of that are on it, they really, really like it. And, you know, for what I've been told, it's not just for women that really like Pinterest. That's a misconception. I'm going to give it a chance sometime. It's certainly on my to-do list, but yeah, stick with the major ones in the beginning, but keep your eye out for ones that you know, have different interests. I mean, like you have also LinkedIn, which is basically the Facebook of you know, career and work. You can get jobs. Job listings there. Sometimes when you apply for jobs, all you have to give them is your LinkedIn profile, so you don't even have to send a resume anymore, and it's getting bigger. For music, there's SoundCloud, but the problem with SoundCloud is you only get 2 hours of time. So if you're in a band and your tracks are only 3 minutes long, you can get quite a lot of stuff up. But if you're into other music that's you know, like, and what you're posting is more than 2 hours long, then you're gonna have to pay around $150 to get unlimited time. That's kind of costly. I think with you know, social media, is that you want to keep your costs to a bare minimum, and you want to keep your expectations to a bare minimum. Like Rome was not built in a day. You're not going to get 1 million views and go viral just because you get online. You know, like it takes time to build up, but little by little, a little bit every day, you can make it better and better. And that's really the approach. So I was talking here next about Twitter. Now, Twitter is a really interesting site in terms of, you know, like getting your word out to the public. And, you know, like you probably heard this hashtag thing. What's hashtag? That is the same as the pound symbol on your phone. So that's exactly what it is. And basically what you're doing is, you know, you have only, I believe, 140 characters. So it's all about learning how to be succinct in what you say. And then to get your stuff out there, you're going to put the hashtag into your tweet, as they call it. And, you know, basically are going in a situation where it's not about friends on Twitter, it's about followers. So let's say you get on Twitter and there's let's say a publishing company that you like, you look them up and you can follow them and people can follow you. You put up a profile and you can basically go in, and the goal there is to get the greatest number of followers, and then you know, connect with the most number of people using the hashtags. Now the thing with hashtags is that if you type something in, it's already there in terms of what you say. Like let's say you know, like cat love, you type that in and it's there, then everybody who does like a search for that and sees that come up is going to see what you tweeted. And the thing about that is, let's say you're following someone and you see a tweet from them, you can post their tweet, and that's called a retweet. You can reply to their tweet, and you can also favorite it. So if you really like what they said, you can you have those options, and you can post photos and videos, and you know, they're trying to make it better. But the biggest thing about Twitter is your ability to connect with you know, very famous people quite easily, because it doesn't take a lot of time to use. I mean, like, I send tweets to authors of books that I read. If I read the book and I really like their book and I see they have a Twitter account, I'll send them a tweet saying they like their book, and they usually, you know, like, it takes like so little amount of time, like maybe take some 30 seconds to answer it and say, you know, thanks a lot or whatever. There's a soap opera actress that I really like, Jen Lilly, and you know, if I send her a tweet about her or her stuff or what's going on, you know, she'll get back to you. And in Ottawa, the mayor, if you've got a business or something going on, he's pretty good about like retweeting your tweets in his feed, because he's got a lot of followers around town, and it only takes him 5 seconds to do. So if you're doing something good, he'll help you out. So it's amazing the amount of connections you get. Like, there's a lot less people on Twitter, but in terms of making instant connections, it's pretty damn amazing. Like, you're probably not going to get a tweet back from the Pope or the President of the United States or the Prime Minister of Canada, but you know, if they're, you know, at a certain level of fame, you know, maybe the mid-level, they're going to get back to you, and that's pretty amazing. So that's pretty cool, and that's really how people connect with their fans. That, you know, some people are very active. There's you know, a lot of approaches that you can take to this kind of thing that are similar to YouTube, is that you can make deals with people where you follow them and they follow you, and you kind of work back and forth to get more followers. Or some people, like, I wouldn't do it, take the narcissist approach, where they put out their stuff and they don't follow anyone because they think they're too good for that. And I think that that's a very limited strategy. It works in the short term because, you know, like, if you're a young pretty thing, or you know, someone famous, then, you know, you can get away with that, but it won't last for very long, because someone better always comes along. Another thing really to avoid with all social media is you probably see these offers or have gotten these messages where people are selling online stats for you know, amount of money. You say you get like 100,000 followers and it costs you $20 or something. Don't go for that, because not only does it doesn't really work, is that you know, like, what happens is that the social media site will figure it out and realize that those statistics are fake, and then they take them down, and you might get in trouble for it. So it's very serious stuff. I just wouldn't do it personally. Instagram is kind of similar to Twitter, but it's all about pictures, and you know, it's got the same kind of thing with the hashtags. But the one, you know, the pretty amazing thing about Instagram is, you know, how many people you can get in terms of coming to your stuff. Like, let's say, you know, like you put the hashtag cats of Instagram, you're going to get into the millions, and so a lot of people are going to see your post. So that's a very big thing. The last social media site that I've gotten to think of as my favorite is YouTube, because growing up with television, you know, it's a pretty amazing thing that you can have your own show. You know, people even make a living off of YouTube, where with you know, basically what you can do is type in, when you go to YouTube, type in YouTube AdSense, and then you'll figure out how to set it up where you can make money on your videos. It takes a lot of work to get money off your videos. Like basically you have to have people watch your advertising for the longest amount of time, and you have to get about 100,000 views in order for you to get money. But it does actually happen. It does take time. So I think that that's pretty amazing with YouTube, the power of it, where, and you know, everybody's into everything on YouTube. Like I personally put up a lot of comic review videos where I buy comic books, and it's an expensive hobby, and I get a discount for the subscription at the shop, and I make a video, and I know that eventually, you know, when I get views for that video, that it's working towards basically getting money, and that it's taking a few cents off the price that I had to pay for the comic books. So eventually, you know, like I'm buying the comic books for the content of the video and talking about them, but basically it is, you know, it's pretty interesting in terms of what you can do with it. Like cat videos, like people watch cat videos, but that's the thing where everybody with YouTube wants to really, you know, take it to the limit, and that's going viral. And that basically is, you know, a mix of, it's like everything else, like luck, talent, and, you know, being lucky enough to be at the right place and the right time to film something that millions of people are going to view. And basically what happens is, like, let's say you see like a UFO in the sky and the video lasts a minute, or a cat doing something interesting, or a kid crying about something that happens in the news, or something that they experience, or something, you know, amazing. There's all sorts of various examples of videos that have gone viral, you know, and it's anything or anything, like two crystal meth addicts like fighting at a Walmart. Like people will watch that, a lot of people too. So, you know, what really happens? How does something become viral? Like, you know, generally the attention span of our generation, the younger generation now, is super limited. Like, you know, like you're lucky if you can get a lot of people to watch your video if it's like 1 minute long. 2 minutes, you're gonna get a little less, but if it's something really good and you can hold their attention, then you're lucky if you get 5 minutes of time. And that's, you know, anything beyond that, and the numbers start to get like significantly reduced. And the thing about it is that, you know, like you have to start out gradually and keep your expectations at a minimum and be realistic about what you're doing. Like I put out, like I know, like with what I'm putting out, that I'm not going to get like the greatest number of views because it's not the most super spectacular topic. Nobody knows who I am. The biggest question people ask about something in the world is, why should I care? Why should this interest me? You know, and if people don't care, then you're not going to get like people interested in your stuff. So, you know, don't take that personally. There's nothing wrong with what you're doing. Build things up gradually. Like I kind of have a rule that, you know, like I have a rule of 10 in terms of, you know, any video that I have that's around, like, let's say, you know, 10 to 15 minutes long. If I get 10 people to watch it that I don't know, then I've done something right. And I make a lot of videos that are really long. So I go with that one. I go with the rule of 1. If I got one person to watch it in the world, someone somewhere who actually does, then I've accomplished something big. And you have to really keep that in mind. You're going to get like lots and lots of numbers if your stuff is really short on YouTube and you're catering to the most popular topics. But as soon as you get into something that's genre specific, or where your videos are long, then you're going to have to build up your audience over time. And the way you can do that with YouTube is that you can take the the keyword search tag. Basically, when you got to really be specific when you're filling out the information. Like, you know, every time you put out your information on your profile for any social media, you got to, you know, really work at making it, you know, precise, basically, because this is your representation to the world. This is your brand. This is you, Inc. This is everything you want to say to the world about you. And, you know, like, basically use every advert you've watched, you know, like, use everything that you know about the media and put that together when it comes to getting your stuff out there. And really, really, what I do is I really max out the keyword search tag, where you're putting in your information as to what people are going to look up in terms of the search engine queries, and you want to match that. And what happens is that the more views you get, the higher you move up the search rankings. So let's say you get like 5 views right off the bat on a video, then people are really likely to click on it right away. And the thing about the internet is that it's all about the numbers. Like, if you have a video that has like 2 views, you know, it's going to really take a long time before someone comes along. But if you get a video past 10 views, and, you know, the numbers just start taking care of themselves, and the numbers just start, you know, building up over time, and over time you get more and more. So, you know, it's like the pile-on effect. And there's a lot of tips and tricks you can do with that, where, you know, like, always, I think the best approach to take online is be yourself, be genuine, stick with what you know. You know, like, my mother is, she's a prolific reader. She's an excellent book reviewer. I mean, she has publishing companies sending her books for free to review because people listen to her opinion. She has an online following, and that's why she asked about social media, is because, you know, most likely she's using a blogging site like WordPress, which is great. A lot of people go to them, but it's kind of missing out on the people that just go to YouTube or Twitter or that kind of stuff. And it's kind of interesting to get into what you can go with that. And so you kind of got to do a few things with YouTube to get your stuff out there to build up an audience. And don't feel bad if you only get one person to watch, like, right away. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, you know, as they say, Rome wasn't built in a day. And basically what you do is, you know, you really max out the keywords tags. And sometimes I throw some really, like, you know, a couple joke ones in. I always type in the search as like a little signature move of mine. And, you know the signature stuff about yourself too. Like, I always add my personal symbol at the end. I do credits. I have the same music to interview my videos. I leave my camera stationary now at a height that, you know, shoots a good video. And basically what I do to build up my audience is, you know, it's not just about you. You gotta go to the people. So basically, like, you invite people to subscribe to your video channel page, and you subscribe to theirs. And, you know, like, you kind of go back and forth. Other things that you can do is watch other people's videos, because people, you know, honestly, they could spend the whole day watching videos, because what happens on YouTube is that when you go to your page, you have videos that are recommended to you based upon what you like and what you watch. So literally you can go from one video to the other of people that have, you know, different YouTube channels. And what you can do there is you can comment on their videos. So if you have things in common, then, and you post something interesting about what they're saying, is that you can get them to subscribe to your channel. So over time, you start getting more and more people. And that really happened. Like, I used to be really weak with Twitter and YouTube. And I really started to see a lot of growth because I use the hashtags, and for YouTube I use the search tags, and
I subscribe to other people, I watch other people's videos and that kind of stuff. And if you really know what you're talking about, like my mom, when I was 4 years old, bought my first comic books, and I remember, and I still have a copy, Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man number 11. So I'm in my 4th decade now. So, you know, other than missing a period of 10 years where I wasn't collecting, like I really do know a lot about comic books and I really do have a lot to offer. So, you know, for my audience, people watch because, you know, I have a talent for, you know, I guess they call it like, you know, what they say this role is the arbiter of cool, you know, where, you know, like the comic people nowadays like call it the Twilight Age because it's mostly people my age who either always kept on collecting or got back into collecting, and it's a boutique item thing now where most people, you know, they don't have the space to live in apartments, so they buy their comics digitally online or download them illegally and don't pay for them. And they don't, like, you know, it's not everyone buying comics, but the thing about comics is that the print runs now compared to the 1990s are significantly reduced and making them rare and thus more valuable, I believe, in the future, because in the 1990s they were printing millions of copies. So there's like millions of copies sitting around in warehouses that haven't gone up from the dollar that they were worth and might even have gone down in money. But I've seen a lot of comics that I've bought basically quadruple in value just because they're lucky if they get 100,000 printed. So yeah, it's like serious stuff. But no, you know, go with what you know, like with your thing. Like I think my mom, if she shot a video where, you know, you don't have to put yourself in the camera, you can just have a picture of the book or whatever. So if you're camera shy, you can take that approach with it where if you're uncomfortable being on camera, then you don't have to take that route. You can just get a little pedestal and put the book on there, and maybe if the book has pictures, flip to the pictures, but you don't have to do that commitment of, you know, like you're the host of the show. Like I kind of, like, I'm a shy person, and you know, like I put myself out there as, you know, I believe that it's a challenge to overcome. So I just get, like, I'm fearful, but I just get in there and do that. So, you know, like I said earlier in my video, do what's comfortable for you. And, you know, like, be open to, you know, failing and making mistakes. Like sometimes you're going to work on stuff and you think that everyone's going to watch it and then no one watches it. And then other stuff that you didn't think was very great, people like. That's the nature of the internet, like when it comes to social media. So you'd be surprised by what stuff gets popular and what doesn't, you know, like, and hopefully I've given you a few ideas. Build it up slowly. Like, don't be afraid to try different things. If you have a concept for a show, you know, like, you might not be the first to do it, but you certainly add to what everyone else is doing, and then you work back and forth within that community of the people that are into the same stuff as you. So if there's, like, you know, like a reading sort of reviewer person that's on the internet, get to know them. This is what makes it so amazing, is the power of the connections that can be made, you know, and do what you want, do what you love, do what you know. You know, like, I know the younger generation, like, you know, think they got it made when it goes viral, but, you know, you can go from maybe having one person watch to getting it up to maybe 50 people watching, and then 100, and then 1,000, and incrementally, if you keep working at it, it goes up a little more. Like, let's say you have a company, and, you know, like, you work at a hotel with your coworkers and something, and you want to put together a pretty professional video. Like, you know, if you get a couple thousand views, that's pretty good. But, you know, be realistic about the statistics. Like, I find it pretty amazing if I even get one person to watch, you know, like, I don't, because I didn't spend any money. All I spent was my time, and, you know, like, I have my camera and I have my internet connection, so I have nothing to lose. Everything is gravy in terms of that. So, you know, think of it that way. Don't think of it as like you have to have instant success. Like, you really have to build it up, like, gradually. And you know, content. It's like I'm always I'm almost up to this year. I'm on track to make over 100 videos in a year. So every day I'm adding stuff, and the more stuff you have, then the more like it's like what they say, build it and people will come. And the more connections you make, like you know, it's a little bit at a time. And if you take that approach, you be realistic, then things will work out for you. I mean, there's people that make a living on YouTube where they do spend a little bit of money to make it really professional. I know there's one entertainment video channel that I watch called Clever Movies that some of my friends have never even heard of, but they put out really good, like high quality videos. Like it's like you're watching something on TV. And you know, they're kind of building things up. They're not like super mega popular, but they've really built up their brand just upon like that. You know, I probably saw one of their videos in the recommended videos, and I took a chance on it, and I like it. And that's really amazing, you know, like what you can do with that. So you know, like I know there's people that make money with YouTube where they kind of invest in, like, let's say they go to like the you know, like the used car salesman, and they buy some really awful old car, and that maybe costs them like $1,000, you know, $1,000 or $100, and they do something crazy with it on YouTube, like bash it up or something, and they get like, you know, a ton of views, and they make more money with what they get from YouTube than the cost of what it took to, you know, create the video. So there's a lot of amazing options with it, and you know, be open to trying what you want to try, experiment. You know, you can take the approach that I do, is that I go with what I want to do, like not because I want like 1 million views. I do it for the love. I do it for the stuff I know. I kind of have that artistic freedom where I'm not like, you know, gonna have to cancel a show because not enough people watch. I make the show that I want to make, and that's the power of YouTube. And I'm really happy that people watch it. And you know, as I was saying kind of earlier, the joke tag that I make, that I sometimes type in, is bored at work, and the other one I use is willing to watch anything, for someone who's really frustrated at work. You know, like people on the night shift or something where all they have is the internet to keep them company, and there's nothing to do in the office. They're on YouTube, and you know, I put that in as a joke because someone out there somewhere sometime is going to type that in. Another thing too I'll kind of leave you with is, let's say you're a book reviewer and you review a book, then there's that future investment where, let's say they make that you know, book into a movie, then people researching the movie are going to look up your review of the book. So there's like, you know, you might not get a lot of views right away, but let's say they put out the movie in a year and everyone looks online, then you might get a lot then. So there's a lot of different strategies about it in terms of that. So it's very interesting what you can do with the technology. So try it out, see what you want to do, like you know, and be open to exploring. You know, like sometimes too with like trying different things, some ideas won't work, and that's okay. I mean, I think we learn more from life, from the things that we make mistakes upon and where we fail, than if we always get it right. And you know, look what happens to people that always get it right, and then they lose big time. They don't know what to do afterwards. But the people who failed a lot of things and made mistakes, they're the ones that learn how to be successful, because you know, like you either learn the hard way or you just learn. And that's that. But don't think of it as like you're gonna make $1 million or other things. If you build things up, you might get it to the point where you're going to get a decent amount of money back from YouTube eventually, where you might get, you know, $100 here and there or something like that, and that's a pretty good return on your investment. I mean, you can pay a bill with that or something. So yeah, you know, like but be open as always to the possibilities. Like never think of impossible as a human word. Just try to do your thing, and that's all you can really do. Just do your best, and that's it. So here you go, Mom. I hope I answered your questions. and anyone else from the same kind of generation and same, you know, sharing that, wanting to get into social media in common, and you know, like the same kind of, you're in the same time and place as my mom, and I helped you out. Like I had no expectation at all that you'd be watching this, but if you did watch this and you did get something out of it, and then you talk to like kids afterwards and they help you out a little more, then that's extra karma. Thank you, and thank you so much for watching it. So thank you very much, everyone, and you know, keep on watching, keep on making videos, and enjoy the power of the internet and the power of social media. Thanks a lot, everyone. Take care.